All right, so today we're going to dive into a pretty unique development environment, one that's built from the ground up for faith driven business leaders. We're going to break down the LD Mastermind program and really get into how it's structured, what it promises, and who it's actually for. So let's just kick things off with a question that probably hits pretty close to home for a lot of you. How do you chase excellence, drive results in a super competitive market, but also make sure that every single decision you make lines up with your deepest values? That's the real balancing act, right? And it's that fundamental challenge that this program is designed to tackle head on. Okay, so first things first, let's talk about the problem. I mean, leading any business is tough, no question. But for a faith-based leader, there's this extra layer, this unique kind of weight. What's so powerful about that statement is the isolation it captures. It's not just about payroll and profits. So often, you're also the spiritual and cultural compass for the whole organization. I mean, that's a huge responsibility. And honestly, it can be a pretty lonely one. All right, so if that's the weight, what's the answer? Well, the source material points to something very specific, an environment literally built for transformation. So let's get into what this LD Mastermind program is all about. And look, we're not just talking about another stuffy business course here. This whole program is positioned as the direct answer to that feeling of being alone at the top. The whole idea is that what these leaders are really looking for isn't just more information, but a very specific kind of community and a dedicated space to grow. Okay, so what is it really? Well, at its heart, it's this really powerful combination of three key things. First, you've got these small, intimate groups of carefully chosen peers. Second, the focus is all about real-world business challenges. We're not talking about textbook theories here. And third, they use this unique three-pronged approach, blending biblical wisdom, proven business frameworks, and maybe most importantly, just that priceless shared experience from others who are in the trenches with you. So, that's the big idea. But how does it actually work? Let's pull back the curtain on the framework they use for growth and see how this all comes together in practice. It's actually pretty straightforward, breaking down into three simple steps. First, you get together with this trusted group of people who just get it. Then, you cut right to the chase. You start tackling the actual real-time problems you're dealing with in your business right now. And finally, the group works together to apply that faith-based lens to find solutions. See, it's a very deliberate, very intentional process. Okay, so when you have a process like that in place, what happens? What are the actual results? This is where we get to the idea of integrated growth, what it looks like when your faith and your business really truly start to align. And the outcomes they're aiming for here, they're huge. Yeah, it starts with the practical stuff like making decisions with way more clarity and confidence. But it goes so much deeper than that. We're talking about building organizations that actually live out biblical values and create an impact that lasts. And that last point, integrated growth, that's the real magic. The idea is to tear down the walls between your professional, personal, and spiritual life so you're growing on all fronts at once. Now, what's really smart about this is that it's not a one-size-fits-all kind of deal. They recognize that leaders are at different stages with different needs, so they offer two totally distinct paths: Cornerstone and Forge. So let's break that down. On one side, you've got Cornerstone. Think of this as the track for the top dogs, the owners, the C-level execs. The whole idea here is that their personal clarity, their character, that's what sets the tone for the entire company. Then, on the other side, you have Forge. This one is all about the next wave of leaders, those high-potential managers and key team members who are being groomed for bigger things. It's all about shaping and strengthening that up-and-coming talent. So, let's tie this all together. How does the community, the process, all that growth, how does it actually turn into real-world results? Well, the final piece of the puzzle is connecting it all back to that deeper sense of calling. This really gets to the heart of why someone would even be interested in this. It's for the person who sees their business as more than just a business. They see it as a marketplace ministry. If you've ever had that feeling, that sense that there's untapped potential, that God has called you to do more, well, this environment is designed to help you unlock that. And this quote right here, this is really the spiritual anchor for the whole thing. It takes that core idea of a mastermind, a small, trusted group, and grounds it in a biblical principle that so many people know. It just really drives home the power of community and shared faith when you're facing big challenges. And that really brings us to the last, and maybe the most powerful question of all. It's a challenge, really, a question to ask yourself.
What could you build if you had that renewed clarity, that deeper sense of purpose? Seriously, just think about that for a second. What could that actually look like for you and for your organization?